Thank you.
Thank you.
It was a coincidence. I was a guest of the Vilnius Film Festival 3 years ago to present my previous film, and Virginia was working there in the guest department of the festival, beside being a director, of course. And I was taken to visit this former prison, this museum that is filmed in the film. And I was shocked by this experience and felt I wanted to do something about it. So I involved Virginia, we started working on it and decided to make the film, which took 3 years in the making.
Well, I think that there were always people that were more active than the others. And when in 1979 there was a case that a young student has burned himself in the square as a protest after there were thousands and thousands of people that went out in the street. And I think it was the first sign that showed how many people actually don't agree with the Soviet system that is in their country. They probably were, they were not activists, but they were not agreeing also. They were just trying to fit the life. So in the end, I think what helped us to regain the independence was this huge force combined of those who would lead and those who would join. Yes, I hope that it will serve as a mean of prevention to remind people not to forget what happened in the past. But I think that beside that people forget, I think it's always about people who put big efforts to make others forget. And like you say, if there are people who are saying that there was no Holocaust, it's not because they don't remember that there was a Holocaust, but because they have, I think, other purposes.
I think this documentary mentions the matter of choices, and I think it's a very human thing that everyone can react in a different way, and all of us might be posed in front of the question, what would I do if I was in that situation? Someone might get scared and just join the system, and someone might not and do something and go against it. It's very difficult to imagine for someone else, and it's very simple to judge on staying on a safe side, saying, oh, he was a bad person because he did that. One can say he did a bad choice or a right choice, but one should try to get in his skin and think, what would have I done in his position?
Well, I think it really, here you have a really big question about that. To which kind of level can forgiveness happen? And I think it's not so easy to respond. Yes, it's, I guess, natural that people will not tolerate those who they considered the traitors of their own country. On the other hand, if you have an interrogator who is 85 years old, is it really worth dragging him into prison? What's going to change? So it's a very good question, but I don't have an answer. Where is the level of forgiveness, and what can you forgive and what can't you?
I think it surely is interesting to try to not just to demonize these people and to paint them as monsters, but to at least to try to understand who they were and what they did, and then one can make his own conclusions.
He didn't lost his pension. He was afraid that he might lose because of that what he talks, and in any case he would lose. If he would lose the pension, it would be Russia that would take away his pension and not Lithuania. And so far he's not yet under persecution in Lithuania. He's not dragged in courts. Because the prosecution goes for the very, very heads and not yet for him. So I think that there has to be a country must, in one way or another, show that how to say, crimes against humanity, they have to be punished. Now, if you can punish a person that worked there as an interrogator and didn't torture people, didn't commit a crime against humanity, it's difficult to say. I think this is where the law issues comes. I think the most important thing is how the person feels inside about what he did. Does he redeem? Does he reconsider? And I think this is the most important thing, is if a person after all those years still thinks that he did right things and that was good to go, then I think this is a problem.
Well, of course, we hope his security is not endangered, and we try to do everything on our side for him not to be.
It's plausible. You can never, you can never protect yourself from angry people, whether from one side or another, who cannot control themselves. And of course, he risks to be attacked by some idiot in the street who just wants to express his rage because he has identified him as a KGB worker. But it's a risk. In one way or another, many of us are running.
In a way, it took some courage from his side to decide to talk in the film. Of course, us as filmmakers, we appreciated this very much. Well, I think that the former prisoner is more accepted in the society, because, at least in Lithuania, because he represents someone that fought for the freedom of the country and their ideals, and I don't think they are very much considered former dissidents. They don't necessarily are listened very much in society, but still they are respected. Like Sasnauskas, the priest that you see in the film, he's a prominent society figure in the society. I think they all at least all the characters that we met that they told us their stories, they are still facing this big trouble. Some accept it more better, some accept it not that well. But when you have the character of the coin collector who was arrested for apparently no understandable reason, he still is very tormented. He still wants to know why did it happen? Why did they pick me? What did they do? Other characters found more answers in themselves. They think whatever happened had a meaning and it was part of my life, and I tried to overcome it. But yes, I think it's such a scar, such traumas cannot go out easily.
I think that this film shows that humanity still exists. I think the fact that the dissident manages to forgive his interrogator and overcome the worst things that happened to him shows, for me, it's a sign of the humanity. Same as the sign of the humanity is the endless love to her husband, to the wife of the dissident that was always next to him, taking care of him and still loving him. And I think that shows that even the worst dictatorships, worst political situations, with a big effort, it can't destroy. If you have humanity inside you, it cannot destroy you.
We have both plans. There are documentaries and also fiction films, yes.
We hope to manage to do both.
Well, my previous film was a fake documentary, so it was a fiction film but done in the style of documentary. So the style of doing it was, well, we could say that I tried to do something different. With this film, this documentary, we wanted it to be very cinematic, so it was done more similarly to a fiction film with bigger cameras, lenses and Steadicam, so because we wanted that kind of look. Where before it was a fiction film that looked a lot like a documentary, so I tried to mix things, at least in my experience. Fun, I don't know. In a way, in some aspects to do the fiction film, it's more simple because things are more under control, because you follow a script, you have actors, and you can direct things the way you want, but at the same time you have other difficulties to overcome because you have to try to tie ends. For me it was challenging to make this film because you go on for 3 years, you start with an idea that changes a lot during the time you make the film because things changes, because stuff happen, because you can find a character, because then you need another character. And then I would say at least 50% of the film was made in the editing room where we collected everything and made and worked and changed and switched and done without really having a track that you have in a fiction film when you have a script that gives you more or less an idea. We're very short because we arrived yesterday afternoon and we're gonna leave tomorrow morning. We just had a walk today. We were in Finland before but not in Helsinki, so today was the first day. Unfortunately weather is bad, but it's a very nice city and the festival atmosphere looks very cozy, and we already picked a few films we're gonna watch today, so we're happy to be here.
Yeah,
Okay.
thanks for having us.